What's up, guys? My name is Almahdi. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a multiple six-figure Airbnb superhost, and I'm actually here in SoCal, just pulled over to make a quick video on probably the most important thing you need to do in 2025, and just in general, when you're starting your Airbnb business, whether you're doing Airbnb arbitrage, buying a house, or even co-hosting. And really, this comes down to how good your Airbnb research and your property and market research is. So the tool that I use when I'm doing my market research for a property is AirDNA. AirDNA is a software you can go in and search submarkets, towns, cities, states, countries, anywhere in the world, and it pulls all the market data from Airbnb and VRBO. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can find the right data and filter out the not so great data when you're doing your analysis. So the first thing you want to do when you're looking for a market to start in is there are two key areas on that software that I look at. Those two metrics are number one, occupancy rate, and number two, the average daily rate. Okay, so occupancy rate pretty much tells you how occupied the properties in that area that are listed for Airbnb are. I like to look at properties or areas rather that are around 65% occupied or greater, and that ensures that the property is going to be occupied for a majority of the time. So these are just kind of our cursory metrics that we initially look at and what you need to pay attention to. Number two is the average daily rate, which is exactly what it sounds like, the average nightly rate that the property goes for in that area on average per night. So when I'm working with my students or even for properties myself, I don't like to look at anything below $250 per night. And the reason being, I want to focus on quality and not quantity when it comes to Airbnb. I rather have a property that does 10K a month versus many properties that do 3, 4, 5K a month. And really, you want to look for properties that are doing much higher, and you can get 10, 20, 30K a month if you have those very nice luxury properties. Now, you don't have to start there. I certainly didn't. However, that's eventually what you want to work towards, in my opinion, is the quality, which is actually what is very important in 2025, versus having a quantity of properties that are doing less revenue and less profit for you per month. Okay, so once you find those areas in AirDNA and you just type that into your market, you type in the submarket or city, it's going to give you all of that information. All right, and by the way, if you're interested in signing up for AirDNA, you can get a discount if you click the link in the description, and you can get 20% off when you're signing up for the software. So back to the research, right? So how do we eliminate the not so great data? Because what Airbnb does is it pulls and scrapes data from the platforms, and it's going to give you properties that are only partially listed, properties that are listed year round. And what you want to do is only focus on Airbnb properties and Vrbo properties that are listed for a majority of the year, so that you can, when you're looking at your comps, you're only comparing the property that you're trying to buy or do arbitrage with and looking in that particular area. When it gives you data, you only want to look at those properties that are on the market for 270 days really or greater. And that's another metric in AirDNA. When you zoom in on an area or if you click on a property specifically, it's going to tell you the property's been there for 150 days, 200 days, 300 days, or what have you. So I'll have a video where I actually show you the exact way to do this. I'll demo it on a screen, but just off the top of my mind, if you type in the particular area and you click on listing, I believe at the top, if you click listing, you can filter out under performance the number of days the properties have been on the market. You can also do this for the next thing, which I want you to do it for, which is the number of reviews. Anything less than 10 reviews, you don't even want to look at that data, because that data could be from properties that are listed on Airbnb very occasionally, and it doesn't give you a year-round accurate depiction of what that property is actually doing from a performance perspective, right? So going back to the number of days on market, you don't want to look at any properties that are under 180 days on the market, in my opinion, because that's not going to give you an accurate reflection on what the property actually did. So anything above 180 days is what you want to focus on. And again, when you're searching in that particular area, you can go to listings and then you click the filter, which helps you only check the boxes of properties that are there for above 180 days and above 270 days. Only keep those two metrics marked, because that way you're going to only see properties that have been there for about 2/3 of the year or greater. Okay, and that's going to give you quality data for when you're comparing whether your property that you found either for purchase or for arbitrage, or honestly even for co-hosting, if that property is going to do, remotely the same or greater, or maybe a little bit less than the properties that you're seeing on AirDNA. So that's typically how I like to do it. Another thing that you're looking for when you find a comparable property on AirDNA to the one that you're evaluating whether it's worth it for you to go into arbitrage for or purchase is it has to have the similar quality and amenities. So what do I mean by that? The most important thing in 2025 and in the future for Airbnb and short-term rentals is people want an experience. They want amenities. They want to have great opportunities to do great things with their family and take photos and have great memories, right? Great experience. And the way that happens is with amenities. So what do I mean by amenities? I'm talking about pickleball, swimming pools, spas, you name it. Those sorts of things. People do little private movie theater rooms. These are the kind of amenities that you want to focus on when you're doing your research and getting a property and adding those into your property, or getting a property that already has them. And back to the whole conversation about comparables, you only want to compare a property that has a pool to a property that has a pool. You can't compare a property that is doing really well on AirDNA and think it's your property that you're going to, look at. If it doesn't have a pool, you can't compare that to a property on AirDNA that's doing whatever it's doing with a pool, because it's probably going to earn more revenue. It's going to generate more revenue and more profit for that host. So again, apples to apples always. That's a very, very important thing. And you want to also evaluate the quality and how modern or unmodern the property is. So again, make sure these things are very, very similar. And that way you're going into a market or a deal or a property that makes sense. You want to make sure when you're comparing AirDNA to the properties that you're finding that you want to rent or own for Airbnb, that they're very, very similar. Okay, so I hope that helps you. These are at a very surface level what I look for when I'm doing my evaluation on AirDNA. And for those of you that are serious about starting your Airbnb business, you can click the link in the description to apply and work with me one-on-one. I take on a few students every single month, and you get my undivided attention. That's why I keep it very, very small, and it's a one-on-one mentorship. Click the link in the description, apply to see if I still have available spots for the month. And if so, I would love to work with you. Be great, and good luck on your Airbnb journey.